And welcome into the Monday edition. Robby and Rexrode here on 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. I'm Joe Rexrode. Robby Stanley off again today, and we again welcome our friend Paul Kuharsky in for Robby. I hope that, the size of this pop that's sitting in front of you is sufficient today.
Pretty good.
I don't know what else I
can
do for you,
It also tastes
pal.
good. So you got the combination of taste and size down, and it only took what, Ian? 3 months?
A month or two at least.
Yeah. Sometime.
Yeah.
So congratulations on finally getting it done.
Yeah, maybe you should focus on like the positive, but of course, you have to go right to like how long it took or what, maybe just, be appreciative and enjoy your pop, okay? And thanks for being with us.
For finally getting done. Good to be here as always. Very exciting times.
Yes, very exciting times. It's August now, so we are. Well, what is today? Today is, and we're going to get into this later in the show, the MLB deadline, I believe, correct?
It is.
So
your team bailed.
Yes,
even before the deadline.
Yep.
Feeding the beast. Everyone thanks you.
Yeah. There's a lot of takes have spun out of that.
Is it the arm or the knee that's an issue for him?
I don't know anything about a knee. Yeah, it's the arm. Yeah.
I still say put this on wax. It's not going to hold up. It's going to be a problem, and this will be a failure of a trade. It's smart
for the Dodgers. You're saying,
yeah,
failure of the trade, yeah, and they'll still probably
anytime
win.
you
They'll
have
still probably win it all.
New arm surgery, I stay away.
Yeah, I understand that, and that's the thing. Again, we can get into it later. There's Tigers fans absolutely freaking out about the return, and it's like I don't know what
is the rating
expected.
Of the return.
Well, they got a top 25 MLB prospect, outfield prospect. A couple pitchers of one, I think, can go right in the rotation. I don't at this point. I don't know what people expected. Now, obviously, you were hoping for a big bidding war, but it seemed like all these other teams just didn't even want to get serious about it.
They said, let the Dodgers go first, and then we'll deal with the rest of the handleable market.
Yeah, I guess. Again, it wasn't like this insane return. There were a couple of prospects the Tigers wanted, or at least people were talking about. This is their number 5 prospect that they got. But again, top 25 MLB prospect, couple pitchers. I don't have a problem with that.
Kevin Gausman, a pretty good starter, a guy you'd want throwing game 1 or game 2 in a playoff series, got like nothing in return for Toronto. People are, really upset about that return. 2 guys with like no power potential. So in that regard, the the Detroit did great. Now, obviously, another level pitcher they're dealing, but I hope that says something. Yankees so far dumped 2 guys that they needed to get rid of.
Do you have a dream scenario today?
Got to have a catcher, and I hope it's not a platoon guy, a full-time catcher, and a reliever, hopefully with more than the remainder of this year on his deal. And then they really need 3 guys. They need a catcher, they need a reliever, and they need a bat, a real bat. They're without Stanton, Judge, and Bellinger right now. That's ridiculous.
It's funny because
they're scoring 3.
It's funny because the Tigers have a couple really, rising stars, their starting catcher, but this other young kid who's starting to really master them too. But I don't think we're giving you either of those guys. So
they should also be willing to trade anybody but Lombard, who's their top shortstop in the system. And if anybody likes Spencer Jones or Jason Dominguez at this point, they should ship them in a second.
Ian, well, of course, Ian looks like Ian's occupied. Real quick, do you have any interest in the MLB? Are you a Mets fan too?
I'm a little bit torn baseball wise. I don't know if I have a true.
Yeah, you have a true team. They just suck.
Yeah,
I see you talking
more
to
of a
TD.
Mets guy. Well, that's a lot of Mets love.
Yeah, I'm probably my dad's a big Mets guy, but my grandmother was a big Yankees fan. She watched pretty much every Yankee game, and I watched a lot of Yankee games with her. So baseball, I'm really torn. I don't have a true team.
Well, you'll have
baseball.
One. You'll have one soon.
So
you'll have one soon. When they come here.
So Yeah, I don't really care about the baseball trade deadline. I've
Somebody
pretty
just
much
said
tuned out of baseball a lot.
Nashville's a done deal. Who was that?
Well, yeah, we talked about this
Passan?
last week.
Yeah, it was Passan.
Yeah, Passan, and this was a Utah. I think it was a
Yeah, he said
Salt Lake Tribune, I guess. But yeah, he said, they were like, who's, because obviously Salt Lake City is of high interest. Oh my God, why don't you just pour that into the microphone, man?
Sorry, I'm thirsty.
Can you?
I wake up thirsty. That was the straw through the cup top.
Kuharsky slurping on air right as we start the show. No, but yeah, he was asked about, there's a lot of intrigue on the other expansion, but he's like, Nashville's done. Yeah, it's over. Like, that's happening. Forget about it. And it's like, okay, that seems to be the MLB stance. Like, but then we still have to see how it all. Yeah, exactly. Like, there's still some things that there's some
billionaire.
There's some information that needs to come together for that.
Baseball here sounds interesting in that I wonder, such a transplant city, pretty much everybody here already has a baseball team, right?
It's going to be a rough go in terms of that.
It's going to take some time.
Yeah, that's true. I think it's a lot like the Preds where, it's like this is people, these people here, we're here from, Detroit, Chicago, or whatever. This like becomes your second favorite team. And then, over your kids, maybe it's their favorite team, right? I mean, it
seems even a bit more extreme.
And obviously the hope is, of course, you got to have a good, you got to have a good place. You got to have a good product.
It's got to be a good night out. Baseball's got to be a good night out.
It does. And the hope is, because of the tourism, that'll take up a chunk too, right? Like, that will give you some attendance built in, that it's like, oh yeah, this is great. But to me, that then, if that's part of the idea, that makes it essential that you're as close to downtown as possible, as opposed to out in Franklin or wherever else, Antioch.
Doubles down that you need a billionaire.
Right.
I don't know about it as part of a tourist experience. It's one thing for the Raiders, but for a football team, you could go out and see your football team on a given weekend. I mean, some people are going to travel with their baseball team for a weekend in the summer. That's fun.
But 81
but you're not coming to
games.
Nashville like independent of baseball and said, oh, the thing to do here is go see a baseball game, because most of the places you're coming from, you can see a baseball game.
Yeah. It's interesting. And I totally hear that. It's also funny. We're talking about this right after, this weekend. So Caroline Rexrode had a big Sweet 16 party. So we did it down here. We did it like in Germantown. Okay. Got like Airbnb thing going on with like 20 plus kids. And yeah, but point being, walking around, it was like quite a scene, just at the Sounds game, and I know it's a Saturday night and it's not a big, but still I was like it was a buzz, and there was a big crowd going to that game, and obviously minor league baseball, they do a great job over there. It's a good night out. But you do see that, and just with the overall population growth, I can see, again, that's in a great location. So you can come from different areas, you can walk around, you can do a lot of different things, and also go to that game. That's why it's key. But I can see how it could work, right? If you have a good spot and you've got a team here. I mean, I think I don't think MLB is this clearly rabidly interested in Nashville for no reason.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely not. We were at the Sounds game Thursday night, and something I'd never seen before. They were losing 5-4 in the ninth, and threw their shortstop, who was averaging like 53. So apparently their pitching was a real mess coming into that game.
And how do you do?
Gave up a solo home run. They lost, and then grounded out to end the game, and they lost 6-4.
Oh God, he made the last
with
out
men
too,
on base. With men on base.
You said he was capping out at 53 in the
No,
fastball?
he topped out at 70 something, but he was throwing mostly 53.
Did he try an Ephus pitch in there? No.
I was talking to the bullpen guys of the other team, and I was like, "Why on earth are they throwing a position player?" And he said, "I think they're out of pitching."
Did he have any, did he throw any breaking stuff?
I mean, it
like,
just,
was 53 a curveball at least?
The 53 was like, I'm throwing this to get it over the plate.
Like it was his changeup. Okay.
Never seen a team throw a position player that close to winning.
When you're Actually, in the game when it's not a total blowout, yeah. But man, it's minor league ball, man. Player development. Dude, are you seriously going to slurp on the air this whole show?
Can you hear that?
Oh, absolutely, Ian. How much of the slurping is crackling through the microphone right now?
The hell, just a tad.
See, Ian's kind.
I think that gives people reason to get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Get up, and you too.
Natural
have
sound.
some caffeine.
It's natural.
Ambient sound.
Man.
So you bought me a drink, and it's apparently a very noisy drink. Fail again.
Apparently you just love it. I think it's a big win. I mean, you love it so much you can't even you're like mid-sentence and you're slurping it. So that's exciting.
Very thirsty.
Okay, we will talk Tennessee Titans because, Paul Kuharsky covers the Tennessee Titans. We'll have a lot of that. We will also get into the college sports mess later in the show. We will do a little bit more on the trading deadline. I have to I have to vent a little bit about my lost Tarek Skubal. Cory Curtis at 8, as always, on Mondays. And when we'll come back, we're going to get caught up with PK on what happened with the Titans in recent days. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. The Robby and Rexrode show is presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Get thicker grass, better color, and fewer bare spots with turf application. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Welcome into Reaction Monday here, by the way, on Robby and Rexrode, which is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Paul Kuharsky in for Robby. And basically, it's been kind of quiet. You've had a little bit of downtime here, huh? A little bit of rest.
I mean, you can't call it downtime because you're always working ahead on something. I should have gotten into Belmont stuff yesterday and I didn't. But yeah, I mean, when you're not out there, there's 2 out of 3 days. Yeah, you can call it downtime.
So Saturday was a full day, and apparently it was packed. The fans showed up to enjoy. So on Friday and Sunday, is that one of those just you guys weren't welcome in, or they were off?
Friday changed from a regular practice to 2 walkthrough.
To walkthrough day.
So there's, neither side has any interest in us watching a walkthrough. Wouldn't mind the availability. Yesterday was a regular day off. Today is the first day in pads. Robert Saleh actually threw out last time we talked to him that the first couple days in pads never really go that well, and it's not that good.
Never really go that well, meaning what?
I have to find the quote. It'll take me a minute to find the quote, but made it sound like don't have high expectations about great practices.
So he expects sloppy. Yeah. Okay. I guess there's probably some truth to that. Right?
Yeah. But he's downplayed a lot. Like, well, the acclimatization period's boring. You ramp up, and now we get to the pads, and he's like, yeah, first couple of days of pads is really not good. So wait for the good stuff.
Yeah.
Pay a lot of money to go to San Francisco to watch that one practice. I'm hoping there's a payoff on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that they only have one?
Yeah. All of the scrimmages or the joint practices are just one day. He believes in one day. He thinks the second day, then things start to get
like too chippy. Yeah. That it does feel like the second day. Well, that's too bad though. That's tough. It's like you get used to like the rhythm of like, okay, I'm going to watch offense this day. I'm going to watch defense this day. Got to pack all into one. Also, I mean, it's a lot of like with the Niners trip, it makes sense because you already had a scheduled preseason game out there. So, okay. But typically with these things, a lot of them are just scheduled on their own, Is that worth it?
Well, what do you mean scheduled on their own?
In other words,
they're generally scheduled ahead of preseason games.
I thought that there are some that aren't they just joint?
Bears and Panthers are scheduled ahead of preseason games here.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Seattle.
Am I completely wrong about that?
Not Panthers.
Seattle. I thought that. Sorry. It seems like there have been some where it's like we're just going to do the practices. There's no game attached to them. Like when the Bucks came here, I guess that was a few years ago, but that wasn't a preseason game, was it? I don't think so.
I think it was.
Was it? Okay. Well, anyway, one day is better than nothing. What about the one day of practice that you saw in the last 3? What are the things that burn in your brain from Saturday?
The one big thing that's standing out to me there that I haven't written about in a big way yet, talked about some on my pod, is Tyjae Spears. Tyjae Spears is getting a lot of throws, design screens and maybe outlet dump offs. He looks terrific, dancing and darting and stopping and starting and hopping around. But how much can you believe in that? One, you're doing it against, your own defense. I don't know what that means, but the Titans are not, have never been a good screen team. And we've seen plenty of good screens in practices at this time of the year. So I'm curious. We will talk to coordinators at some point this week to talk to Brian Dable about, what their intent is with screen game. I've talked to a lot of coaches about this over the years, and they talk about how much you have to commit to it, how much you have to practice it, and I'm curious, how much is it a worthwhile trade-off with all they have going on the offensive line to spend that time getting good at screens when they've got a lot of other matters to take care of. And also, I don't find Tyjae Spears to be particularly dependable on the availability front. He's missed 9 games over the last 2 years. I don't think they have another guy who can do it the way that he does it. you could do some of that stuff with Wan'Dale Robinson, obviously. He had one very bad day, by the way, in this last run.
Wan'Dale, yeah.
But I'm curious about that element. Titans running backs in the passing game are always kind of a curiosity. I mean, Derrick Henry had a lot of success as a pass catcher, but it's because he was such a good running back, not because he could track the ball well. It was a great
misdirection running plays, really, right?
Yeah.
Like those throwback screens probably got him about 2/3 of his yardage as a quote unquote pass catcher.
Yeah, they talk up Pollard in this regard, but he's slowing down. He wouldn't be my primary option there. And I don't know that any of these other backs, we have to wait and see about Singleton. But certainly the other guys aren't people you want to throw to, I don't think.
Well, I was going to ask you about Singleton and Mullings too. I know Mullings has had like one big run, but what are your thoughts as you look at those guys? And I think obviously another camp hero is Julius Chestnut. I mean, Julius Chestnut and Mason Kinsey,
Mullings and Chestnut.
They're opening the Ring of Honor just from their training camp work with the Titans. But yeah, what your thoughts about those guys as you compare them to the top two backs?
Mullings in particular, is first and foremost a short yardage guy. A short yardage guy isn't going to thrive in camp. He's certainly not going to thrive in camp before they get to 9-on-7.
Am I wrong that he had a big run? I thought he had a big run.
Drills. He might have had one big run. Chestnut looks the same, maybe even thicker. Singleton, he's done a couple things. One thing he's not doing, which is to me bad for a rookie, seems like it should be quickly corrected and hasn't been. Running backs are supposed to finish their runs. No matter where they hit you or whatever, you're supposed to run, 75 yards with the ball, and he's not doing that. Another concern I have that I want to talk to Daboll about, it doesn't seem like the play action fakes are even like, how some teams, like, not everybody's Peyton Manning, where every play of practice you're putting the ball in the running back's belly and removing it and all of that, though probably every team should. But these guys, just wave the ball in the area of the back sometimes. And it doesn't seem to me like it's even intended to be very convincing.
Run ball handling and run fakes are underrated. It's like a pitcher, the defense of a pitcher. No one ever talks about it, but actually, if you're a good fielding pitcher, that saves you runs.
Jim Cott.
Right? There you go. And yeah, I mean, good run fakes. It's good. It's a nice thing to have as a quarterback. This would be the time to.
I wonder if they'll be defensive. I wonder if they'll be defensive about that, or say I'm wrong, or say they're not there yet, or what. But to me, it's very noticeable, especially Levis. So we'll see.
Well, we're going to talk about Levis later. He's just somehow becoming a massive newsmaker, which I think probably says something about a bigger picture thing. As much as it says anything about him. Io Manor is another guy who seems to be, if there was an arrow up.
Yeah, he's making some plays. He's kind of, I would say, arrow up. He's coming on a little bit. I've got a piece coming up this week. Like, even if Io Manor's arrow is up, what's it take for him to get the kind of snaps that one big catch in a game could be significant for Io Manor, but I'm not convinced he's going to find himself any kind of regular snaps as long as things are going okay with the top guys. He's coming in after somebody runs a long route, and yeah, they want to mix it up and stuff, but are you going to be, if the top three guys are doing well, do you want to see one of them out of the game for Io Manor?
No, but I expect some injuries, and I mean, like, I have my questions about Calvin Ridley. Why the heck is he getting ripped by Steve Smith, by the way? What's this?
I have no idea what that's about.
Yeah, what's that all about? Thought people liked Calvin Ridley. Steve Smith apparently does not like Calvin Ridley. But I like if Ridley gets hurt, and he's the most likely, is who gets those snaps?
I think DK would be the first one to get.
DK gets them over Io Manor?
I mean, he certainly ended last season ahead. Now, we have to see how these guys do with this coaching staff in terms of the pecking order and the like. And it's a lot early to see. But the receivers look good in training camp. Lifelong story. So
right.
Have to see what you do when it matters and what it means.
Yeah,
I look forward to you reading my piece on this.
I look forward to also doing it so that you can look forward to that too. But no, I think Io Manor. I think DK clearly. The speed difference is there, right? Like that's just one thing. But that physicality, like what is Daboll value? In these spots. Everybody values speed, but also the ability to go up and physically beat a defender and high point the football and things like that. That's what Io Manor is, right?
Yeah.
How much is that valued?
They're both,
it's a little different from both Ridley and DK in that way.
Yeah, they're both promising. And the hope is that one or both of them can this season, if and when Ridley fades or gets hurt, and certainly next season when Ridley is highly unlikely to be on this roster, can become him. But it's also somewhat of a big projection, fourth rounders somewhere around the league. If you're Amon-Ra St. Brown, you do it.
There's some guys. There's others.
But they're also, Des Fitzpatrick.
Sure. But these guys have already demonstrated they can play. At some point, that matters less, right? Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, 1025 The Game, for live shows and exclusive content. Also, hit us up in the Game phone or text line, 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHigh.com. I've completely ignored all chats. I hope there's a lot of celebrating / ripping PK. We'll get to that, your thoughts, and more on the Titans. Coming up next, Robby and Rex Show, 1025 The Game. That's right. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode. Text line. There's a lot of angry Tiger fans. Sorry, folks. And some people complaining about Pop. I mean, Pop's not going to stop Dylan and Antioch. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, buddy. And a lot of
how are there so many Tigers fans, or is this a revolt against the Dodgers?
Well, there's some of both. Well, there's people from all over around here, Paul, as you know.
I know. But not so many Detroiters that listening at 6:30 in the morning.
You just don't know, man. You don't know the power of our listenership. And on the YouTube chat, we've got yes, people definitely heard your slurping, by the way. But
you're welcome.
Jabari Martin's mentioning that Steve Smith broke down Ridley is a quote speed merchant, not a good route runner. Might explain why he's had issues getting on the same page with his quarterbacks. So,
well, I think there's
some fairness.
You can make
an
argument there at times.
Yeah, like I don't think that's unfair, but it just seemed a little bit
Well, Steve Smith has always got an edge to what he's offering.
Yeah.
Up.
Yeah, and sometimes seems a little
he's an angry guy.
Yeah, a little I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. He's okay, but
how are you on Ryan Clark and Fred Taylor? They were out there the other day. Chatted with them a bit.
Ryan Clark, Ryan Clark, I thought he's fine. He's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I agree with him. Sometimes I don't. I appreciate his willingness to give an opinion. Probably my biggest complaint. It's like you got the complaint that we always have about ESPN, like, but he's screaming, arguing, hot taking, all that stuff. But then really, to me, like the totally other side of the spectrum is like a guy like Pat McAfee, who actually never argues with anyone or has an opinion really, right? And just sort of glad hands with everyone. I feel like, at least Ryan Clark was willing to, have a strong opinion. So
I didn't have huge beef with them, but I have to say, like, I don't know. Are people watching NFL Live on a regular basis to have strong feelings about these people? Aren't people working at 2:00 in the afternoon or 3:00 in the afternoon when these shows are on?
But that show has done really well. But it's with the core group of
Rutledge
running it. Mina Kimes,
Orlovsky.
Spears, and Orlovsky. Like those four, and then like Clark would be on there sometimes. But those four,
I think those four
it's
are
a
pretty
good chemistry. Yeah, good chemistry, good show, and good discussion and good technical breakdown of football, right? So, but yeah, to your point, it's still middle of the afternoon. But people, everything you can get everything on demand nowadays. So that's why we get text during the show, or it's like an hour behind the show or whatever. You know what I mean? That happens too. So people digest things when they want to digest them. So Tom, we've been talking about the receivers. We have gone this far into the show, 6:34, without just mentioning the quarterback, Cam Ward. How did he play Saturday?
I think, he's been so far throughout, which, there's not a tremendous cause for excitement, but I don't think you could shred him for it either. Just kind of is. Been some good moments and some bad moments.
Some misses.
Yeah.
So in your lifetime of covering quarterbacks in camp, I probably asked you some version of this multiple times, but how much correlation have you seen? Because first of all, I know that there are some players that just simply aren't good practice players, and they're just good. They're good in the game. There are players who are better in practice, and then it's like, where the hell is this on Sunday? But quarterbacks in camp and the translation to the season. How much do you find that to be a thing?
I think for the young guys, it correlates more often if you're still haven't gotten to where you're going to be. It's not so much because he had a bad camp, so he had a bad season. You're just not very good yet, and so you're not very good yet.
Right, like you can see, you can kind of see what a guy is to some extent, right? Once you get through a camp,
But the year Mariota threw, we have this conversation all the time, and who was it? Rodgers came out lately and talked about, it's good to throw interceptions in camp and all of that stuff, which kind of took the Cam side of it. You're working on stuff and all of that.
But that's if you're established.
Right. I think so too. And there was a huge deal made of the year that Marcus Mariota didn't throw any picks for a huge stretch in camp. And I don't remember. Did he have a good year after that?
What year was that? I think it was after his best year, right? Because his best year was 16. Broke his leg at the end of that year.
It was never the same after that.
It really wasn't. So I think the no pick thing might have been the next year, actually.
And I think, there were some arguments during that, like,
does he take enough chances?
Yeah, he's not throwing.
Does he take enough chances?
Be throwing a couple picks. So the you want the warm in the middle, not the hot or not the cold.
But with Cam, it's not picks or not. It's more that throw was right there and where'd it go?
Yeah, the other day, I think it was the last practice we saw. They were regularly missing like throws to the outside where it just seemed like they weren't in sync. There was a cornerback in good position. The throw was, they've got a line drawn on the field 5 yards in from the sideline. And they, multiple staffs have talked about they want the receiver to win that red line, which means win your route with that 5 yards of space outside where you own that space and you can play with a ball that a quarterback throws outside of you there. Well, they weren't doing that the other day very, very often. And so, and it wasn't just a matter of Cam unsuccessful throwing deep down the boundary. Some of these balls were people cutting to the outside as opposed to running a boundary route, but it just didn't have ownership of that territory of the field. He didn't. Levis didn't. And it just seemed like, I think some of it still is option route stuff. And we watching together on the sideline, it could be next to Suss or next to TD or next to Wyatt. Sometimes these plays don't work, and we'll say, well, was it the throw or, there was some space where the receiver might have gone, and you just don't know.
The slightest the slightest lack of being on the same page in some of these plays can make a throw that might not be errant look errant.
And I wonder if there wasn't some kind of consistent theme going on with what they were doing there, given that the mistakes looked similar. So now today I look, are they significantly different in those spaces as to having made some kind of adjustment to it? We'll see.
Yeah. So back to the big question, just on the, your history with quarterbacks, like Young. Okay, Locker. I imagine that you saw that dude in practice, like, man, he can't hit the broadside of a bar, like the whole time. Right?
Constantly
consistent.
Constantly inaccurate, constantly missing like short guys. Like screens and dump offs and stuff where guys had to bend down to catch balls at their knees or reach up to just not putting guys in good spots.
I could not believe that pick. If you watch that guy, Washington, great athlete, but what? Like crazy. Vince Young.
Erratic, but with some real highlight moments. I think.
Well, yeah.
There was one at Clarksville.
That's his career.
There's one at Clarksville, which I think was his rookie year, where he threw a pick to somebody, and the guy was coming back at him, and he basically leveled the guy with the shoulder, like way too physical and aggressive, but was a real like message sender, maybe the moment of that camp that told you something about his mindset at that stage.
Yeah. At least being on the field, good mindset. Yeah. Not getting to the field. So everything, it's about, I guess, what you'd expect. If Cam, it is. Like if Cam were having massive day where it's like, oh my gosh, it's surgical out there, people would be making a big deal out of it, right? Yes. They'd be making a bigger deal out of it than if he were really struggling.
Well, I think either extreme would be getting a lot. And I think right now it's just kind of meh. which is maybe why it's not getting a lot. Also, we're finally talking to more people, a wider array, and getting some interesting stories, be it about Levis. I thought Latham was really interesting. And, we're starting to be able to introduce you to some guys like I talked to Jacob Martin, or, somebody else talked to Schlotman for a long conversation. And we'll have to write Cam every day.
Yeah. No, you don't have to write them, of course. But it's the number one. Yeah, it's the number one thing people care about, want to hear about, want to know about. But when we come back with first day of pads, one thing that I have to admit I'm a little, well, maybe more than a little concerned about. We'll get into that with PK. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Now, here's a great artist, PK. You probably have some problem with his voice or something.
Dude, I love Neil Young. The hat show posters you see behind me when I podcast, I've got Springsteen and the Stones. Right next on the side is Neil Young. Seen him 4 or 5 times.
Okay. All right. I feel better, even though your Geddy Lee criticism.
Russ Never Sleeps was like one of my big albums right at the beginning.
Nice. I'm proud of you. How's Salah liking Nashville media as opposed to New York media?
He's doing well to make a point of telling us he likes us.
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's
there's
really nice.
One guy in town who's really buying it.
Oh yeah,
I'm starting to like Salah. Really, yeah, he's putting up with me, playing along with my stuff. I really like him.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's everybody's friends.
Hypocrite.
I think that's exciting.
Oh, the only reason Paul likes so and so is because he's good to him. You know what I think today? I'm really liking Salah. That guy's cool. I like him.
I have no idea who we're talking about here, but I like your voice impressions. So first day of pads. First of all, Latham talked. It was interesting. Like I always find J.C. Latham interesting when he talks.
This was some of the best J.C. Latham. And listen, I know it doesn't mean anything until we see how he puts it into practice. But we've talked a lot this offseason. I love these stories that give us some kind of wrap on our offseason theme. And my Latham thing has been, which guy do we get? The more mature guy who said, hey, I played too big. I need to lose weight and come back slimmer, who took that on himself without any coach telling him that. Or the guy last season who seemed disconnected from the team, who teammates were clearly talking about not listening to veterans and who slipped into like some penalty craziness. He said at the end of last season, I need to get my mental stuff in order. And I was very eager to talk to him about how you do that in the offseason when you're far removed, right, from the mental strains of the game. And he came back and he had a press session. I got a couple minutes with him after that. He told me about what he's reading. He told me about, listen, there's only so much weight I can move. Like, there's only so much I can gain now as getting stronger. My game's got to transform on the mental level. And I started with the mental coach late last season, and I've read this stuff, and we're talking about neural pathways with Brasillo and just listing off this stuff where he sounds like he's got a handle on what he's got to do. Now, does that hold up in battle? I don't know, but he knows what he needs to do. And that sounds like a huge jump in maturity to me from an offseason. And if I'm a Titans fan right now, thinking that J.C. Latham is a pivot point on this team, which I think he absolutely is, I'm excited about what I heard from him this weekend.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I mean, some of this also, and again, I have no idea. You talk about preparation, right? Preparation for opponents, things like that, doing stuff on your own. That's Kevin Byard probably be the ultimate example here of like a guy who set the standard of like, hey, we do all this stuff at the building, but if you're not finding stuff on your own, like you're not maximizing yourself as a pro. So that's
just plugged right into that to me. Right.
Yeah, that's important. That's obviously important. I've always, J.C. Latham to me has always been impressive in terms of his, he's always been a really thoughtful, I think, quote. He just hasn't been an impressive player. Sometimes it just doesn't translate, but he is someone you would expect to be looking for solutions and be fully in on, giving it a go. I mean, this year is going to say a lot about the rest of his career.
And look, we don't like it when a first rounder comes in and isn't the guy that we expect him to be right out of the gate, right? But we talk about it all the time with quarterbacks. It takes time, maybe a second stop for some guys, all of that. Well, it happens at other positions too, and Latham comes in as a 7th pick overall, and he's not been what you want him to be through those first years. But if the light switch is coming on for him in a different way now, and he does turn out to be the guy you wanted, we might laugh at ourselves about our doubts of him early. If he turns in to, I don't want to say Jack Conklin-esque because Jack Conklin made 2 all-pro teams, right? One of them here. And that might be a little high. But if he turns into a top 10 right tackle in the league, a dependable guy, if he doesn't suffer the hip strain and the pec injury, and he minds his P's and Q's, and he's a communicator, and he's got more of a teammate attitude where he's not a little bit of an isolationist, but more of a, hey, I need to emotionally connect with these guys, which he talked about too. And he realizes all of these things, and those all contribute to him being a better player. Then I think we say, you know what? Respect to that guy. It took him a while to get it. It's complicated business. You would have rather him come in and dominate on week 1, right? But if he gets it 3 years in and he solves the problem, it's been a problem for a damn long time.
Well, yeah. I mean, I just, I also feel like
it's talk right now.
It's talk, and you can have the right intentions,
and then somebody punches you in the mouth.
Yeah, like with people are right. Like Skoronski, obviously year 3 last year, really he took off, but there was a lot of positive momentum from year 2, way different to me than Latham.
Yeah, no, absolutely true.
Who is the leader of the offensive line?
I think it's got to be Skoronski. I mean, it's a different kind of leadership. He's not a rah-rah, gather everybody up together. He's a look at what I do and do it kind of leader. Now, in terms of a vocal guy, nobody stands out.
Because you talk about like the isolations thing and teammate. To me, like the offensive line, usually, I feel like I'm most like those guys are usually tight. I mean, they kind of hang with themselves, but they're their own little culture, right? And usually that's like strong, like that aspect of it
still evolving
is good. Again, we go back to the good Titans teams, the most recent good stretch, and Ben Jones was clearly the leader.
Yes.
Right. And I think that ideally, if your center, a center as a leader makes sense, he makes the calls. Like it just makes sense that if you can have that guy at center who's not only good, but also is just a natural leader, I think that's a great thing. And of course, the Titans are, they're trying to find someone who can play at center. Skoronski, just maybe he's on the verge of being a great player in this league for a while, which makes a big difference. But I don't think he's ever. I think you need a bigger personality somewhere in there who's good, who's there for a while to help an offensive line gel and be better than the sum of the parts.
I agree. And it's an area where they're lacking, up to this point. I don't think it's going to be the winner of Volson and Slater. Slater definitely doesn't have the personality for it. I haven't met Volson yet. Schlottman, conceivably could do some of that. You have to play. I mean, I'm of the camp. You have to play to a certain level in order to be that guy.
Yeah, no, you do.
Vrabel was on the other side of that, and that's one of the things we battled about.
Well, here's the thing about Vrabel, and it's funny because
I thought Deion Lewis was a leader.
Yeah, well, I mean, Vrabel sometimes just said stuff, but like he loved Aaron Brewer, and of course there's a lot of this little guy out there and all that, tough as a $2 steak. But I do think that Brewer had some of that.
Well,
right?
Brewer's turned into a hell of a player in Miami.
He has. Avanzi's on the YouTube chat says your left tackle needs to be a dog/goon. Center needs to be the QB. Honestly, I'll take a left tackle who's a technician who has the feet of a ballet dancer who never says a damn word. That's what they had with Lawan. Lawan was the loud mouth.
He said a lot of words.
Yeah, but he was the out front brash dude and a great player.
He's also a ballet dancer. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and had all the skills. And then Jones led the team. I mean, you just need, to me, one guy. It doesn't have to be the center. It's just the natural place, I think, where it happens a lot. Who kind of brings everyone together. I don't know that being a really good player is enough there.
Them lacking that is part of why we still will have questions about the group, I think, even if the center and the right guard emerge in terms of functional play.
How after this week, get into pads, and you're going to start to see a little bit more of the reality of these guys trying to block the other guys. Pretty good, some pretty good players on the other side. How do you think it's going to go for the offensive line this week?
I think that it's not going to go well for the offense, generally speaking. I mean, the defense is just better.
And defenses are often better at this point. But, I think this team has a better defense than it does on offense.
Yeah. I think that's generally the case across the board. Now you have some receivers that can make some big plays, and you have Cam who can.
Yeah, he needs to tilt it. He needs to tilt it.
Needs to help tilt it. I think that's the story.
When we come back, a guy who I guess can help tilt it for the 2s or 3s made big news this week. The Titans. Some of the biggest news in the NFL apparently was from Will Levis. We'll get into that next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Second hour, Robby and Rexrode 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Bee Hub membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It's Reaction Monday, PK. Reaction Monday brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Paul Kuharsky in for Robby Stanley, Ian Safar producing. And speaking of Reaction Monday, let's have a little reaction to Will Levis. Will Levis with a banger of a presser on Saturday. Here's a little bit of a snippet from young Will.
I believe this is year 4. How much you feel like you've grown as a person, maybe, and as a player?
A lot. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, dang, this is really year 4. I'm a true vet at this point. Getting that letter from the PA, getting vested. Like, I didn't even know, like, being on IR, like, that counts as a vested season. And to get that, like, that was like, wow. Definitely grown a lot. I feel like I was a kid when I got here. I've definitely turned into a man, and there's still a lot of growing that I need to do. And but I think what I touched on earlier, just on the mental side, being able to not care as much about what other people say or what other people think. I feel like I worked a lot for other people's approval in the beginning of my career, and whereas I'm just trying to be the best version of me at this point, and I have more confidence than I've ever had because of that. I don't need to go out there and win X amount of games before I can feel the confidence. Like, I have the confidence right now. I know I've put the tape out there already that I'm a dang good quarterback in this league, and I'm even better than I ever have been. So
The faith that you have a future as a starter in this league?
100%. I know I'm, I think there are not 32 quarterbacks in this league better than me. I know that for sure.
Faith with the just wanting to have fun and just taking the reps that are given to you. It seems like it's probably...
You can have both. You have that confidence, but that's not what I'm thinking about when I'm stepping on the field. I mean, maybe at one point in my career, I was thinking about trying to prove that to people, but I have that belief in myself while still not trying to make that one of my main points of emphasis of proving that. I know that as long as I just play the way that, I'm blessed with the abilities that I'm blessed to have and the capabilities that I have and I've learned to develop as a quarterback, like, that's just going to come. And when I get the opportunities, I know that I'm going to make the most of it and I'm going to shine.
So that was Will Levis. What the heck is going on, by the way, when you guys are in these presses? It sounds like a freaking circus around this. It's like just.
I think what's going on with your sound guy?
You're blaming Ian on that?
Well, Ian's not out there gathering sound.
So what do you think our sound guy's doing?
I don't know. I have good sound when I'm out there.
There's a lot of commotion, it feels like.
You put a tape recorder in front of the speaker.
Yeah, well, I mean, Levis sounded clear.
That was just from the website video.
Then get on the Titans.
Well, let's rip the Titans then. It sounded like, which sometimes does happen, a lot going on. But
yeah, it's just background, and the mic kicks on, and there's a lot of chatter, and you can hear the jugs machines back there. That's not too raw or
bad.
Yeah, or rare.
Yeah,
I should say
I guess
that you kind of hear that.
I'm just
sometimes.
an irritable old man.
So the big takeaway from that for most people is him saying there aren't 32 quarterbacks better than he is.
Yep.
And it doesn't really matter. Like, I think a lot of press then just started listing quarterbacks to see if that's true. It doesn't really matter what he thinks or what we think. The league clearly thinks there are, because he's third string quarterback right now, which is less than 64. There's right. 64 better.
That says there's 64 better
according to the league.
Right.
And no, the Titans got no calls on Will Levis during the draft. I know, none. So what he needs is new tape. I wrote, and it's out, and it'll be tweeted again in a while. But the thing for Will Levis is, he's stale to the league, and stuff about him that he thinks is important, maybe, his draft position, his arm talent, don't matter anymore to the league right now. And for him to be a resurrectional quarterback, he probably right now needs that year behind people before he can reemerge, maybe next year, as one of these second chance quarterbacks. And before he's going to be maybe a long shot Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, Daniel Jones, Geno Smith, he needs to be a Jarrett Stidham or a Drew Lock or a Gardner Minshew.
Are you just reading your piece on the air now?
Well, those are parts of my piece.
I liked your piece.
So
at paulkuharsky.com, by the way.
Here's the thing for that. The best scenario for him is to go sit behind other guys with a really good coach which would be here.
Yep.
But now Borgonzi
The problem
said,
is there's a QB2.
yeah, Borgonzi said, well, the matter of a third quarterback is he one of the 53 best players? That's not the case. It's just a luxury you can't afford to have a guy who is never going to play for you. It's a break glass in case of emergency, and you go get that guy off your practice squad if two quarterbacks go down. And what's the likelihood that two quarterbacks go down?
Because if they leave Levis unprotected, I do believe he will get picked up.
As a waiver claim, yeah.
Yes, right? Like there's no doubt. Is there? I think there's little doubt.
I wouldn't think. Even if he's not a waiver claim, then he gets signed. I would think. Waiver claim, you're picking up the contract. If you don't waiver claim him, then you're signing him for free.
Yeah.
With the new, minimum salary.
So another thing about this that struck me is that Saturday afternoon, shortly after he made these comments, this was the number 3 story on the ESPN website, which I was like, okay. Yesterday, a day after the comments are made, I went to the NFL page. It was like number 3 still on the NFL page, which probably more than anything tells you just how utterly worthless all of this is, right?
It's funny because
I mean, really,
as a local person judging things, I didn't write. I pondered the Levis stuff and I wrote about him last night.
Yeah.
And I wrote
It
J.C.
wasn't
Latham because I thought J.C. Latham is way more important to the 2026.
I think that was the right
Titans.
decision for the audience of people who follow the Titans closely. But NFL wide, it's a name, it's a former starter,
33rd draft pick,
right? And has what has been a polarizing figure. So part of it is that, but also again, part of it is like, wow, there's that little going on, huh? Like there's just nothing happening at all right now. Look, I do feel like if Levis could be the backup here, it'd be good for him.
Yes, it would.
Right?
But they made that decision pretty quickly. They signed Mitch Trubisky pretty quickly. And the thing is,
like the Titans basically have told him, not only are you not among the 32, you're not among the 64.
Yeah.
I mean, in a sense.
And the quarterback conversation is so scrambled here. You have some people that think that Will Levis was screwed over by being on such a bad team and with the coaching change and with all of that, and that he's going to emerge as a good quarterback and he'll be better than Cam Ward in the end. And then you have other people that are like, look out for Mitch Trubisky. As soon as things go bad with Cam Ward here, Brian Daboll's just looking for a chance to get Mitch Trubisky in the lineup. He's going to be the Titans' Sam Darnold. Oh, this is out there too.
Hasn't Mitch Trubisky
already had his chance at that?
I think Mitch Trubisky's had his chance. Hasn't Mitch Trubisky basically declared himself, I'm a QB2 in this league? I don't think that there's a.
I haven't talked to him yet, but that would make sense to me.
Yeah, I think we've seen Mitch Trubisky. Like Will Levis, we haven't seen a lot. We saw a rough season with some incredibly outrageous mistakes. I thought it was interesting hearing him there talk about trying to please other people and all that stuff. I mean, that was clear. Putting too much on his own shoulders, clear.
He's not
the
played
mental side
well
of the game
so far. That's the biggest thing here. He looks the same. That's the biggest thing here. If he came out and he was playing really well and he said all this stuff, you'd say, well, the mental gains he's made are producing physical differences.
Yeah.
I like Will Levis personally, and I'm glad to hear all this stuff because I think the mental stuff, some of it is brought upon himself, but some of it is outside forces that have worked very hard to mess things up for him. So I hope he gets things straight, and I would like to see him get a second chance. It's not going to be here, and it's not going to be soon.
Outside forces. Explain that, please.
Callahan.
Okay. I thought you were talking about there like the draft process. People were trying to,
No, environmental circumstances.
Yeah.
Which, look, everybody, I think the Will Levis supporters are just massive on, well, he had no chance because of all of these things. Well, he did have a chance not to throw that ball out of bounds, try to throw that ball out of bounds that got picked. He did have a chance not to
go
flick
bowling,
that ball
not to go bowling the next week against the Jets.
To Tajay Spears. Those are not environmental concerns. Those are idiocy. personal idiocy. And people have a lot of trouble separating that. I'm not saying the environmental concerns weren't a factor, but inside bad environmental concerns, he made things exponentially worse with bad decision making. He did. Him. Look at him. People are so quick to want to blame everything on the surroundings and not put the fair share of stuff on the guy actually making the mistakes.
Yeah. Now, I also, though, like those mistakes are obviously going to, that's what people are always going to talk about, just like they're going to talk about the Mayo cologne forever. Like, to me,
I never did get a bottle of that.
But when you talk about, it smelled pretty good. When you talk about how he looks the same, but you're not talking about because he's out there doing behind the back garbage. It's because he still just misses throws that you can't miss, which frankly, like, is still like, I mean, that's where he and Cam Ward to me do kind of share something, right? In terms of like, you gotta just throw strikes a little bit more.
Neither of them have clicked in on the decision making and being consistently good enough for you to say, oh yeah, the guy gets it.
Yeah. All right, we come back. More on Will Levis and others who are standing out to PK so far. Robby and Rex Show 125 the game. The Robby and Rexrode Show, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping, outdoor patios, landscaping design, lawn maintenance, and more. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Back in Robby and Rexrode, Paul Kuharsky in for Robby today. Ian Safar producing. We're talking Will Levis. Did you bring up Vrabel earlier? Did we talk about Vrabel?
I said Vrabel loved Aaron Brewer.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That was the degree.
I've just got a string of texts about Vrabel hiring his drinking buddies. You have to like Bud Light if you like him. When will he get rid of Josh McDaniels to bring in another drinking buddy? I don't think he's going to get rid of Josh McDaniels.
This idea that he's getting rid of Josh McDaniels has been planted by one guy, didn't come to fruition.
Who planted it?
Your boy Stilly.
Oh,
last year. It's like he's going to get rid of Josh McDaniels and promote.
Josh McDaniels is
Downing.
good OC in New England, right? I mean, has he
More
not
than good?
Yeah, like has he not? Like it's never again. I don't think will he be a head coach, but he can do that job.
Yes, he can.
It's not just again people want it's like with Brady. Anybody associated with Brady, you want to try to take credit away from anybody else who was around him. But
I'll say
McDaniel's
this: it's easy to predict a real slide for the Patriots, but I'll say this. Look around the AFC and pick me really good teams. And it's not an easy exercise if you score teams down for new head coaches. Now, last year, new head coaches were pretty successful, not here, but a lot of the good ones. But I scored Baltimore down. I scored the Bills down. I scored the Steelers down for change from long-term stability. Now, maybe one of those teams, gets a boost and thrown over the top, which is what they're looking for. And I'm not saying that New England's going to match last year by any means, but I don't know that they're winning 4 games either.
No, I don't think they're going to go in the tank, but they're going to go I think they're going to go 9-8.
Yeah.
And
which could be a wild card.
There'll still be enough losses for able to hear a lot of stuff this year.
No, he's going to hear a lot of stuff no matter what. But that could also be a wild card entry. In the AFC as it's constructed.
Mitch in Bellevue wants to make sure you got enough soda, or as I call it, pop. You good over there? How's that big gulp? About halfway through the big gulp.
About halfway through.
Which is actually works out perfectly.
Yeah, because we're about halfway through.
That's right. So who else right now? You already talked. Someone asked about Alec Iamare. Has he surpassed Kevin Ridley? No, and I don't expect that he will. I just wonder if Ridley is going to stay healthy, but you had him as an arrow up with caution. Give me a couple more arrow ups and a couple of arrow downs right now. It's early, but
yeah. Hey. Well, I mean, this is off the top of my head. I haven't written this down or anything, but I would say arrow up on most of the defensive line. Now I feel like Simmons definitely arrow up. I feel like Simmons and John Franklin Myers are like the more permanent guys on there, and that the rotation after them has just been furious. Like you don't see the same 2 guys out there for a very long time or consistently.
That's a big solid thing. And he talks about that with Simmons too.
Yeah. But they'll start a new period like on a new day, and it won't be the same 2 guys, so there's no third and fourth guy on that defensive line who are by any means like going to necessarily start the next period or start the next day, which is interesting. And that Franklin Myers, I don't think it's safe to think of him as necessarily inside guy. I mean, I think there's going to be more positional versatility from him than we think. Okay. And I mean, I asked him about that, and he said, line me up anywhere. All these guys are kind of saying line me up anywhere, but I think it's going to be even more of a scramble than we think based off early indications. And I think it's hard to keep track of and all of that, but it's also going to be really maybe interesting and fun. So I'm curious about that. We're going to talk to Falk today, I think. And so that'll be our interesting next take on that. Wan'Dale Robinson had a really bad day a couple days ago where he just didn't seem in sync and had a couple drops and stuff. I think he's a high volume guy, but he needs to be more consistent than that. I talked about Spears. He's looked really good, and he's gotten a lot of chances. Coogan has worked higher generally than he did in the spring.
So he's arrow up.
I think he's arrow up. I don't
arrow up to the point of
No.
we might be talking. No? Okay.
But interestingly, like you were talking about leadership on the offensive line and stuff, like the offensive line came over on the day fans were there, and their work area is right in front of a big covered bleacher section. And they came over, and like before their period started, one guy's trying to get the crowd going over there. It's Pat Coogan waving his arm and kind of, which is kind of,
well, he's one of those dudes.
Yeah, but one of those dudes. But you would think maybe one of those dudes would say, like, I need to lay back a little bit for my stature on this team and everything. And he's not thinking that at all. He's like, hey, I'm going to be.
If that's your personality.
I'm going to do my thing. And
hey, real quick, you mentioned
guy.
You mentioned the fans. TD texted me about the noise. He said there were jugging machines, tractors, fans, and player family there. So I'm just, I feel like it was, I felt like it was a little louder than normal. Thank you, TD.
I'm not wild about the lawn mowers, like that. They can't wait 30 minutes to mow the lawn. It seems crazy to me.
It's almost like they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah,
to mess you up.
It's a giant thing to be mowed of 3 fields, and the thing that needs to be mowed during media availability is
right behind you.
Near
that's you got to hit that right away.
I don't sense accidentalness in that. Somehow.
You've given me very little arrow down here.
Arrow down. I'm looking
am I to take then
down.
that you are like actually overall feeling pretty good about things?
It's training camp. Anthony Hill Jr., I would say his arrow is not up in terms of I don't know.
He's clearly a 2 right now.
I don't know that he's I'm not allowed to talk depth chart. There are other linebackers getting more time than he is.
Well, but you can talk depth. Gray and Barton are in line to start, right? Is that not
yes
the expectation?
I wouldn't say that Anthony Hill is even necessarily playing where you would expect him to play.
Okay.
Don't
worry, you're not going to get in trouble.
That's an early thing, right?
Is that something that you think is reflective of what's going on, or is that like let's put the rookie here and let's let the rookie
early
take a level, then see if he can get to that next level?
Early to tell. You're talking about Coogan, who seems like he was eased in during the spring and maybe is doing more.
Moving up, yeah.
Don't feel like Anthony Hill is necessarily on the same path right now, and he's second rounders compared to a 6th.
Yeah, and the other thing about that is I do think of all the positions, a linebacker in any defense, and it seems like in this defense, as aggressive as this defense is up front, to me, logically, that leaves at times linebackers in compromising positions, probably more often than some of the 2-gap stuff that people do. So I've kind of always thought, like, you got to give him time. Think about Gray. Yeah, he got hurt, but Gray also, like, he wasn't able to play fast as a rookie. It's hard to play fast as a rookie. I think as a rookie linebacker in the NFL, an off-ball linebacker in the NFL, I think it's hard to play fast. You're swimming.
Had different coach.
You're swimming. What's that?
That different coach is. What year was Gray's rookie year? Just last year?
Gray was 2 years ago as a rookie. He was hurt. And but there was, we were talking at times during Gray's rookie year, like, man, I don't know, like, what's going on? Is this a whiff? Is this a whiff? And all of a sudden last year he's healthy and boom, he's able to play downhill. And it's like, oh, okay, this guy can play. I think with Hill, I can see already people being like, oh, what is happening? 2nd round pick. Oh my gosh. But at that position, I'm sure we'll see him some, but I'd give him this year. And hope that year 2, like with Gray, there's a lot of light turning on.
Other thing that's of note, and I kind of expected this. You hope one of these guys catches on. They are churning the defensive backfield. 3 new corners / defensive backs in the door in the last little bit. Najee Johnson, Mario Goodrich, Derek Canteen, great last name, all coming in. They're churning those last 3 spots.
Which isn't a surprise, but also, it's already like, oh, this is not good enough.
One guy
there's gonna be some dudes off the street playing in that defensive backfield again for the Tennessee Titans.
Safety Hudson Clark was in for a day, I think. Yeah. Must have made a hell of an
That must have been quite a day. All right, we come back. We will get back to the Titans, but I do have to get PK, really to kind of explain to me what in the hell is going on with college athletics right now. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Keep up with Titans training camp at the 102.5 The Game for the latest updates, player interviews, and more as you get prepped for the upcoming Titans season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by Tennessee Brew Works, Parman Energy, and the Music City Kickoff Game. That Music City Kickoff Game, Ole Miss against Louisville at Nissan Stadium, September 6th. Get your tickets today at NashvilleSports.com. That should be a fun one, actually. Ole Miss, Louisville, Paul. And speaking of college football, college sports Have you been following this at all? Do I have to?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they had an 11th hour, I guess, save of this Protect College Sports Act. So everybody kind of thought, no, this is going to die. The Big Ten and SEC got in there and finally gave it their, I guess it seems like, grudging approval. So it does live on. I still have my doubts that that this is going to actually pass as law. One of the interesting things, and I think Ross Dellinger from Yahoo had a bit about this. Some of the push late was the threat that President Trump was going to attack the Big Ten and SEC leaders via social media. So I don't know. Like, I have no idea how that was communicated or like how much of a factor that was, but that was in his story about like presumably there was going to be some social media shaming, like some, like
what a motivator,
like ripping Woody Hayes or something, Woody and Bo, or maybe get after Paul Bear Bryant, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, he would go after Mike Slive, right?
Mike Slive?
Yeah, current guys.
Well, Mike Slive's not you mean Greg Sankey?
Yeah, Greg Sankey.
Oh, good.
A little bit behind you. Sorry. A little bit behind you. He would go after current guys.
The late, great Mike Slive.
Yeah, he would go after Signetti.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. But see, that's the thing. Not Saban, because I think aren't they?
They're buddies.
Yeah. So this is
Saban's not currently in the administration, much like Mike Slive.
Yeah. So meanwhile, this is going on, and then you have this judge in Colorado kind of opening the floodgates back on all these. So, they have put in the 5-for-5 rule, right? Basically just like the clock starts at 5 years, but someone's always going to get screwed. You set a rule. What they should have done with that rule, by the way, is they should have put it in. It should have become a thing like late fall. So then it's not even a factor in football season. And then also it's like the way when the timing allows a lot of these athletes to still have right now to be able to come back and try to come back into college athletics. So as soon as that floodgate gets opened, again, these are athletes who were out of eligibility, but now basically a judge has sort of grandfathered them in. Or you can have that year. You don't. But also, initially, everyone thought that they were going to be able to go wherever they wanted. There's all these teams, and we're talking, especially like right now, basketball, but basketball and football. Oh, okay, this program is going here. They're going to try to get this guy. The judge clarified this is only returning to your previous team, which totally changes things. Meanwhile, the NCAA is, of course, trying to get a stay on that and eliminate it altogether. The NCAA president is calling them, quote, failed professionals, which is an interesting choice of words. So people are angry about that. So you have all that going on while we have this Protect College Sports Act, which to me has so many problems. Again, you're trying to – the SEC and Big Ten, one of their big things was they want a hard cap. They wanted like a hard cap with as many protections as possible. It's basically – this is an antitrust exemption, right? But it's still like lawyers are looking at this. They're not holding back. You're still trying to cap income, right, for people in this country to make money without them having any say in it.
Right. It's not like a CBA.
Right. I mean, a lot of people thought this was about to die last week, and then it's like, okay, everybody, can we finally talk about this? If you don't get a CBA, if you don't have the laborers in participating, you can't put a cap on them. But here we are with this act still alive for now. And, needing like they're trying to squeeze it in before before everybody gets out of there. And
what's the timeline on the legislative session here for this bill, do we think?
Well, so they're trying, they're trying to have it. There's a 5-week recess, starting Friday. So after Friday, there's a 5-week recess in the Senate. So then you're getting into the, you're like, is that when you look at the big picture, is that the end of the world? No, but I mean, it would be a big deal, right, to get it to the Senate floor this week to get for a vote. It needs 60 to pass. You know,
have there been any straw polls about if it'll get to 60?
I don't. There's definitely been some. I mean, there's been plenty of senators who have spoken up in opposition to it, and some in support. I mean, I think it's really close. You know, and then obviously, then you go to the House, and there's less enthusiasm about that being. So I mean, it's just this bill is like it's just all these different people have put their input in on it to try to get it to pass, and it's just kind of all over the place. I don't think it'll happen, but we'll see. I mean, this is by far the most success they've had. I mean, before this, it's just been a joke almost to even go here, and they've at least got it to this. So I guess again, the bottom line of we're going to set this exact number that schools, this is Congress is saying, here, you school, you know, Ohio State, you can't spend more than $48 million on your roster. It's just, to me, ripe for litigation.
Immediate.
So, you know, it's just, it's, and then now again, you have this situation with the 5 for 5, all these athletes potentially coming back into college sports, but maybe they won't. And it's just a perfect representation of where we are, which is just complete chaos. And
the 5 for 5 also seems ripe for litigation if you've kind of saved your 5th year for the 5th year, and then you're immediately hurt at the beginning of your 5th year.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there is. I think there are. You know, that's the thing. There's going to be. I think there's going to be exceptions with this.
So
yes.
we'll say 5 for 5, but then guys will be playing in their 6th.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. They've kind of set it out there like, look, 5 for 5 is what it is. 5 for 5, you get hurt, but we're still giving you this extra year of eligibility anyway. So you kind of, if you take that as a medical year, you're taking it as a medical year. Will someone sue? Yes. Will they be successful? You know, the thing is, like, there's actually the NCAA has been more successful with some things in terms of eligibility than you might think. Like, there's been a lot of lawsuits you don't hear about because they fail, right? You hear about the ones that when someone gets a temporary injunction. So, but yeah, look, the billable hours crowd absolutely loves college sports. I mean, how many, like, seriously, how many like beach houses have been bought off college sports in the last few years? I mean, it's truly remarkable. But you tell me, I was thinking about this, like we're closing on the season, so I'm getting excited about actual football and things like that, and should be a really interesting year, just like always in college football. I cannot remember a sports enterprise, the news cycle being dominated by necktie-wearing bureaucrats more than college sports is right now. We have all the pro sports have lockouts. We're gonna have baseball's not gonna play next year. I could almost guarantee you. We have these stoppages and things like that. But again, like, the laborers participate, and you have these issues every few years, and then you get through them. This is like, it's like just this dominant presence of commissioners, ADs, politicians, lawyers, and it's just I'm just done with it.
It's built into that the labor. It's very hard for the labor to participate because the labor graduates.
That is true, and I've heard that as one of the reasons, that it's going to be hard to put it together. But at the same time, I mean, how many guys in the NFL are in for a cup of coffee? There are veterans
that's why the NFL is the worst at the labor game among the professionals, because of the short career.
But what you have to have is you have a well-paid, Gene Upshaw. You have a well-paid, long-term, this is my job.
Not just well-paid, but good at it.
Yeah, right. You have to find someone good and pay them for the long term, and then they are the face of the whole thing.
DeMaurice Smith wasn't that good, and he looks great now compared to what they've done since him.
Right. But regardless, all the sports, the pro sports, like, we have these things, and then they figure it out. College sports is like, it's just suit overkill right now. Like, I know you don't care.
You love these discussions.
I mean,
you love discussing backroom.
I really don't. Like, I'm truly sick of it. Like, none of it's going to matter. It really doesn't matter. You know what? Okay, now you put a cap. Then,
But do you think there should be some kind of cap, something to manage it, or do you
if
think
it's
it should be the
collectively,
Wild West?
if it's collectively bargained,
Well, it's
sure.
never going to be collectively.
Well, why would you say never?
Because who's going to organize the student end of it?
They're already organizing themselves. We've got 2 different groups right now, just in the last week, that have started to try to
What's
organize.
the scope of it?
Well, there was a Stanford thing, but then there's a group of a lot of different women's basketball players who are trying to organize. I mean, believe me, if you organize as a college athlete, you're going to get a bigger cut. Right now, they're in the 20s.
Oh, I understand they should organize. I just don't think it's feasible that they organize.
Yeah, you should definitely not say never. I wouldn't say never about anything in college sports, and not that. But
and also, women's basketball organizing is great, but what you need is football organizing and doing the bulk of the work.
Sure.
That trickles down for everybody. And football, I just don't think that universally in their schedule they're going to say, you know what we need to do is get into some meetings and roll up our sleeves and argue for our stance on this, because they're busy.
Because that's why
that's not anything they've ever done before.
That's why you have to have a permanent presence who does most of the work, and it's right. Like, I mean, that's really
what we need to do is get together and elect somebody or hire somebody. Who's putting that together?
Yeah.
Where's that come from? I mean, I remember
things
years ago, a guy at Northwestern was going to.
They tried to do that. Yeah,
right.
They tried. Yeah, times were a little bit different in college sports then versus now. All right, we come back. The Rex Rant. Robby, Rexrode 125 the game.
Sometimes he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed. And sometimes he's just, well, Joe.
Awkward moment, let's do it.
This is the Rex Rant, now on Robby and Rexrode.
Just come down here and just beat the crap out of both of us.
the community out there is looking at Rexrode as kind of a gout screener.
I do try to play a doctor sometimes
Yeah.
on this show.
Would you rather listen to Pat McAfee's new album or Maroon 5?
Eugene smoking on some new green. I mean, this is like Paul Kuharsky lyrics, you know?
Pat, did you buy a quarter ounce off Paul Kuharsky?
I didn't expect to stand on a soapbox for Paul Kuharsky today.
He wasn't like some dude that got off the street. Like, he's a good young player
What's
for the
his name?
Cards. Jake Waters.
I'm the one who can't hear Shaq talk on the television.
It messes with some animals and maybe our brains a little bit and all of that.
I've also been a child who pooped my pants.
Bring the poop bag.
Beautiful. That's another fine intro by Ian, capped off with some NCOT B. You're probably a big NCOT B guy back in the day, right, PK?
Never.
I don't believe you. You at least bobbed your head. The Rex Rant, served by the Wine Cellar in Hendersonville. We may have multiple things to talk about today. This is again, sometimes Twitter has value. Okay. Sometimes I find things that I enjoy, including this. This got a lot of attention, and I'm going to go ahead and throw my support behind it, even though I think that we've actually talked about this before and probably has been a rant. But I'm going to read this from this weekend from Ryan McGee, friend of the show of ESPN, and Marty McGee. He says, quote, said it before, worth repeating, one of the dumbest trends of my lifetime, holding up an entire parking lot to do a reverse 5-point turn, all just the back of your spot like you're unloading uranium cores down at the shipyard. Dude, you're in a Chevy Colorado at the Publix, end quote. And by the way, this comes on after the weekend in which I saw someone do this in an alley in Germantown, okay? So this is a person who has a spot, right? I mean, I presumably this is like either they're built like their buildings there, right? I mean, I'm assuming this person lives in this area of Germantown. So, like, the only time to me that it is acceptable to do this is if you're going to a sporting event or you're going to a concert where you know when you get out, like you're going to have to book. You're going to have to get into traffic. And if you can just go boom right out and pop into traffic, it makes a difference. Whereas sometimes people won't let you in. You're trying to back out. You can get screwed over. You can be stuck. Fine. If you have a major event that you're at, then it's fine to make people wait so you can back into your spot. Other than that, there is absolutely no excuse for it. And I saw it like, why is a person in an alley, which I think is their spot where they live, why are you wasting anybody's time? Now, granted, a lot of times in an alley, maybe you're not expecting like another car to be waiting, but like it happened. And so we're waiting for you to back yourself into your parking spot, like where you live. This is all you have to do is whenever you're going to leave again, back out and go. No, you tell me if I'm wrong, PK. The big, heavily attended event where you save time potentially by doing it is the only time this is acceptable.
I'm against inefficiency overall. But my kid drives a pickup truck. He backs into everything. Now, he does it very well. It's not a 5-point turn situation. You stop.
He backs into every time he parks.
And you back in. Yeah.
So you are a negligent father.
Well, I'm not a negligent father. I really have little to do with the pickup truck. But it's hard to go in a long pickup truck head first into some spots. It's easier to back in. He tells me, and a lot of people who drive pickup trucks tell me. And so I don't have a problem with it as long as you're efficient with it. I don't know why people are doing 5-point turns. If you're doing 5-point turns, you're inequipped to drive a pickup truck, I would say. So get yourself in a small sedan.
So what do you mean you had nothing to do? You just came home and you had a pickup truck?
Well,
Teresa
it's a 3-person house.
Buying people trucks at your house?
And he was pushing for a pickup truck a lot. And he did more convincing on the one side than he did on the other.
What'd you say?
I said, I don't think he should have a pickup truck.
You can have a Mazda Miata only.
Yeah, I love the idea of a Kuharsky driving a pickup truck, actually. But
Yeah,
I don't love the idea of a
in the
Kuharsky.
Northeast want to know if he had a gun rack on it, and all of those things. So that's that. Can I tell you about a thing I've struggled with lately?
Yeah, but hold on. I need a little bit of reaction quickly. Rebecca says on the text I've driven my WilsonCounty.com, backer inners are compensating for something, drives me crazy.
Look, there are a lot of people who go in frontwise who also stop and back out to increase their angle, who are incompetent parkers. So let's not reserve incompetent parking to people who are backing in. I see people turning in frontwise who don't know how to angle themselves out and turn in on one smooth turn, and that's a much bigger sin.
Okay. No, I mean, I don't disagree. Like, if you make people wait because you can't park, then that's a problem.
And also, in a parking deck, you are not meant to wait for somebody to come out. You're meant to continue going until there's an open spot. That's how parking decks are designed.
And people in parking decks who do it drives me crazy. Texter says, sounds like Rexrode is jealous he came back into a parking lot. Hey, man, I mean, if you would have seen my parallel parking in Germantown this weekend, like, it was like one take, man. It was like, boom. It was.
And let's raise this.
Sweet.
Let's localize this. Titans Media Parking. We park on the street. It doesn't even give you the same address as the Titans facility, 460 Great Circle Road. When I went to do my parking for tax purposes, get all my mileage, it gives me some other address. That's how far away we park. But these people space out the cars so far, there's a half spot between each car. And I've been telling people, maybe they're listening now, pull up and save some space so that more of us could park there. And then you could, inch out a couple times to get out. You don't have to have a free release to pull out of parking on the Titans curb.
We have a lot of things here we're getting to. A lot of reaction to the parking thing, but you also had something on the internet.
Well,
the internet's
look, I go to bed sometimes
Google Mike's Live?
watching reels and videos. Yeah, he was more recent than Bear Bryant, which you were using.
Right, I was making a point.
I made a mistake. I go to bed sometimes foolishly watching, reels and stuff, and or YouTube shorts. And my YouTube shorts have recently taken from, showing me like football highlights and How I Met Your Mother clips and West Wing clips to then it shifts into live stuff. And among the live stuff I've seen lately is some sort of Asian cultural thing. I don't know, of a woman speaking a foreign tongue, peeling an egg, not a hard-boiled egg, an uncooked egg with like manicure tools. And everybody's rooting for her to hurry up. She's near the end of the egg. She's about to peel the last piece of the egg, but she's telling you, don't rush me. It's very dangerous. This last spot, it could break. And she's like chipping away underneath, and then she clips it. She's chipping away underneath, and then I never make it to the end. I can't wait that long, but I really want to see her complete it. And it is somewhat soothing and fascinating. How did they come up with this? And has anybody else ever watched this?
I mean, I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, but
she takes an egg, Joe. She cracks
this
the
is
egg.
Definitely one of the weirdest segments ever.
She gently removes the shell of an uncooked egg.
Let us know if you've also enjoyed this with PK. In the meantime, we will have Cory Curtis coming up next. Robby and Rex Show 102.5 The Game. Third and final hour, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. It's Reaction Monday, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Nashville. Paul Kuharsky in for Robby today, and Safar producing, and as always, Monday, 8 o'clock, we've got our friend Cory Curtis, brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic. Cory, how are you? How was your weekend? What's going on?
It was adequate, Joe.
Adequate. Okay.
I saw Spider-Man. I thought it was excellent. So that was good. And I'm ready to roll. See some guys with pads on.
Yeah, Caroline Rexrode also said Spider-Man was fantastic. Have you seen The Odyssey yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Unbelievable. I mean, that Damon, tremendous.
There's another one. There's two movies that I need to go see.
I might actually go to a movie theater for one of those, but probably not.
You know, it's this.
You headbutt the mic.
You bring this up. To me, I've had this conversation several times. This is the year that has brought me back to the movies.
How many people were talking on their phones or walking a baby around or all of these things that make me not want to go to a movie theater?
Well, number one, in The Odyssey, everyone's locked in because that movie doesn't stop, and it's unbelievable.
Did you do the IMAX?
No, I didn't get to do the IMAX.
Okay.
But it's, I did the one where, he's Dolby and the theater shakes and all that stuff. But it was still great. And I really enjoyed Spider-Man. I was locked in on that the whole way as well. So, but yeah, there's actually more movies I want to see this year. I'll probably go to the movies more this year than I have in the last 5 years combined.
I'm for it. It's been tough to see what's happened with theaters and everything. And it's not the theaters, Joe. It's the movies. They haven't given us anything worth going to see, and this year they are. Well, yeah, but it's also people with their home theaters, right? I mean, it's kind of like the same thing we talk about with sports attendance, right? And so a lot of the movies
attendance costs too much money. That's probably
the movies on par with that.
Yeah,
I could get into a baseball game for $25.
You're not far off.
I mean, sneak in that licorice.
You can go to Geodis at a reasonable price, and I think we spent $50 on 2 tickets to the Odyssey.
Yeah, and then you get into the snacks. Okay, so speaking of get your popcorn, oh wow, what a segue! Yes, pads are today, Cory. But to this point, what's really standing out to you, good or bad?
Well, I mean, I went to practice Thursday. I went to practice again Saturday, and I think the number one thing that I paid attention to that I saw that like jumped off the screen at me was the speed and the intensity that the defensive line works. These guys always work hard every year. There's no question about that. But you can see under White Cotton the speed and intensity and the violence level that they're already practicing with. It has a Jim Washburn feel to it. And, obviously that's where this team has spent their money. And I think I said it last night. If that is not the best unit on this football team is in very big trouble this season.
PK, agree? Clearly the best group?
Yeah, I think the best group and has to be the best group. But with the caveat that as good as it is, it still lacks a speedy, bendy, off-the-edge guy.
Absolutely.
Which a well-rounded group requires and generally contains.
Well, Keldrick, you said he's talking today. I know that he may not, he's physical, but I mean, could he not be a guy like that at some point, guys? I ask you both.
Well, I mean, he had 2.5 sacks last year at Auburn.
Yeah.
So to come in here and expect him to get 20 or 15, I think is kind of a ridiculous notion. Look, he's a big, long guy. He's 6'6", and I don't know how much speed he's got coming off the edge. I think he's physical off the edge. I think he'll hold that spot. I don't know. I think when you're talking about like speed, explosiveness, effort, I think that's what they're hoping Femi Oladejo becomes.
I wrote about Jacob Martin and talked to him, and he's got the most wiggle probably. But I said, people kind of regard you as the smallest maybe. And he said, that misperception follows me around a lot. I'm 270. Now they list him at 260. It would be convenient if an NFL team, like, How about if the Titans become the first team in league history to accurately list weights? Like, what would be the downside of that?
They did with Devondre Sweat, right?
Well, yeah, but
There were
so
50 pounds light on him.
All right, the super fat guy and the super light guy you can boost, but like the average guy, like Jacob Martin, who they list at 260, why not list him at 270, which is his actual weight? What's the downside of that?
I have no idea, PK. And could you imagine Devondre Sweat trying to keep up at the pace that those guys are going right now?
No.
Well, based on picture I saw of him too, he'd really struggle in this exact moment doing that. So okay, so I agree. Obviously, this best group should be the best group overall, especially when you just take into account John Franklin Myers and Jeff Simmons, right, anchoring the front. But is the offensive line the worst group? Could the offensive line be the worst?
Are we talking depth? Are we talking?
I'm talking starters. I'm talking the guys who are going to play. Let's say they even stay healthy. What's the worst position group on the Tennessee Titans?
Well, I think the least they have the invested in might be tight end. So I mean, we'll see what.
But Gunnar Helm, there's high hope for him, right?
There is, but I mean, you're talking about a 4th round pick, and you're talking about a kind of a blocking burly tight end in Bellinger. But I'm not convinced they're going to use the tight end as much as everybody else seems to think. But I mean, look, they spent money on the defensive line. I mean, even Jacob Martin is a pro. He has numbers to back up that he can deliver. You watch him practice and he knows. And, you have to look at Moore, Bolson, Schlottman, all his guys who were available. And they were available for a reason. And JC's a guy who you're waiting to become the guy that you drafted. So you've got 4 spots out of 5 that are a pretty big question mark, Joe. And so I think it's fair to look at that and be have a little trepidation about what we're going to see this season.
Yeah, I think it's probably the worst spot, but it's got potential if those 2 unknown spots pan out to not qualify as such. On the tight ends, I'd say.
Go ahead.
On the tight ends, I'd say the one thing I've noticed in watching them run routes against air is I think that group is kind of slow.
Yeah. Well, they lack athleticism now, right?
Yeah.
With Chig gone, because when they had Delaney and then they had Jonnu and then they had Chig, they had an athletic guy who could do something with the ball in his hands. And now they don't have that athleticism. It's one of the areas where I push back on Helm being, a top 10 tight end one day. I just don't view him as having the elite athleticism to get himself there.
Agree.
So back on the offensive line, Latham did speak the other day, Corey, some interesting stuff from him. PK, I would argue you may feel a little better about him.
Latham?
Yeah. A little better about his prospects based on the introspection that was on display.
Yes. For what a guy could do at a podium in terms of changing my feeling about him, he did incredibly well.
What did you think, Corey, about Latham and sort of where he's going and how he's trying to work on the mental side of the game?
Well, I always appreciate honesty, number one. I think that's strength in a person when they can be honest with you. So that's a good thing. I can't believe a guy who's 6'5" and 365 pounds could ever struggle with confidence. and he's basically admitting that's what happens. He gets beat, makes a mistake, and his confidence wanes, and he allows it to weigh on him. And so, I give him high marks for addressing it. He wasn't too proud to say, I need to be better, because you PK, you see him. He looks like Bigfoot out there. He's gigantic. There's no reason he shouldn't be mauling people at the line of scrimmage. So hopefully he stays healthy this year, number one, because I can't imagine playing that tackle spot with a bad hip. But he's got to be close. And I know I've heard some people say he needs to just be okay this season. And I don't agree with that. He's top 10 pick. He's got to be good.
Yeah, he's got to be good. And the other thing about the mental stuff being an obstacle for a top guy like that. I mean, I think people are put off by that because they think you got to be big and tough automatically. And I think we've kind of evolved beyond that. Most of us have, to understanding that there can be difficulties for a guy like that. And to me, I mean, he acknowledged it at the end of the year that that's what he needed to work on. So it sounds like he's done some impressive work on it. Let's see it have a bearing on his play.
Yeah, I mean, well, they would say you play like you practice, and for him, that's part of his practice, and so now he's got to play with it.
So, Cory, a guy who seems to be playing well, making some people notice a little bit, Alec Iomanner, who obviously, one of the 2 fourth-round picks who, really, I'd say exceeded expectations last year, but obviously the top 3, I think, is pretty clear on this team. Do you feel like he has a chance to break into that a little bit more, get himself a little bit more work? And if let's say really does get hurt, which at this point is probably more likely than not, do you look at Iomanner as someone who might even be a better option at that spot than a DK?
Well, I like DK no matter what the options are, because he can do things with the ball in his hands. He gets the ball in his hands, he can find the end zone on any play. And that's not a lot of what this team has. So it's and the Iomanner discussion fits into this as well. It's why I continue to say that Calvin Ridley, to me, is expendable, because he is not a part of the future of this team, and you're hoping that those 2 guys are. I want to see those 2 guys on the field continuing to develop. Iomanner's come back in. He looks even stronger than last year. I mean, kind of like Demaryius Thomas, just like a great, big, strong receiver. And he's made some strong plays on the football. Now, he's got to be more consistent catching it, without question. But I'd really rather see that continue to try to develop than try to milk another year out of Calvin Ridley. And I know there's nothing wrong with having depth in your room, but I'd like to see those guys on the field, both of them.
Last thing for you, Cory, I just gotta throw you that. Your thoughts on Terry Skubal to the Dodgers?
I've heard some people claiming collusion among the owners to make it happen to get the fans on their side.
On the side of that we got to have a cap?
Yes. And I think fans are already – how you get fans on board with that notion? You tell them you're going to cap ticket prices and cap beer prices. That would be a real way to get them on your side. But, it's just inevitable that the Cubs are going to win the World Series anyway, so the Dodgers are just wasting resources.
I mean, I was hoping the Cubs or somebody would get in there and, get serious on this.
From the Blue Jays.
Yeah. That's not bad.
So, I'm all right.
Good luck to you with that. It's always good that you guys continue to dream your dreams. You had your one time.
Hey, PK, we had a good weekend. What is it? You guys took 2 out of 3? There was 3 good games, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, you need to be able to outscore the Yankees right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, they've been swinging the bats bigly, and they kind of cooled off a little bit this weekend.
Cory Curtis, thank you, my friend. Brought to you by Tennessee Men's Clinic, and big week of pads ahead. Thanks, Cory.
Yep, time to find some things out. Appreciate it, guys.
That was Cory. We'll react to some of what he had to say and get back into the Titans. Robby and Rex Show 125 the game. Robby and Rexrode, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Now, this is a great band that Kuharsky probably can't hang with.
That's too heavy
with
for
Metallica.
Me. I admit it. It's not my cup of tea.
Little Master of Puppets. This is Reaction Monday, by the way, brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors in Nashville. And thanks to Jess on the YouTube chat for bringing my attention to this, but Mauricio Pochettino, new contract, USMNT head coach through 2030. USMNT superfan Paul Kuharsky, your reaction?
Well, he will not serve out that entire term. I don't think he would have taken this job if there was a good club job open that wanted him.
How does he not have an opportunity like that? Just because those don't open?
I think stuff had filled before World Cup was over, but it's not on the same cycle.
Okay, but he's under contract through 2030. How's that work with buyouts and whatnot? I'm in college sports mode on buyouts.
I don't know, but I think if he wants to leave, he'll be able to leave.
So you don't think that he'll be the coach
for the next
World Cup?
No. Listen, I think he did a pretty good job. They had all kind of infighting and stuff, and guys were treated like divas, and he got rid of all of that. And they scored goals. Now, they're in the same place as not being able to beat even second-tier top European teams. That's disappointing. They didn't advance further than they have before, though they won a new knockout round that was created there, and the defense was insufficient. I think the talent that he had was more offensive talent, and he actually got it to produce, and the defensive talent that he had was less than we've ever had. I feared if he left, we would have gone back to not spending money, and we would have hired somebody again like Greg Berhalter, and I have feelings about the ceiling of a guy like Greg Berhalter that I don't have about the ceilings of a Mauricio Pochettino. So I'm okay with it. But I've debated this with friends who feel the other way, and I can see their inclination not to go that way. We're gonna play in his system for a longer period of time. I think the longer our young guys are with a guy of his talents, the better it is for them. But I think when he leaves and we change systems, that will screw us. So there's good and bad.
What say like when I see this, my reaction is okay. So this guy will be the coach next World Cup, and that's good. That's promising. What are you seem confident that he will be gone by then?
Yeah, I feel pretty confident he'll be gone by then. There's not enough meaningful soccer. I mean, there are Gold Cups and things like that. But also,
the whole point to me is
be
the guy so we don't change systems.
You don't have to qualify for the next World Cup now that it's 30, now that it's expanded.
48.
And it might go to
64.
Even bigger.
Yeah, might go to
so
64.
There's no challenge to getting there. So the meaningful soccer that you play, there are some tournaments that are meaningful, but to get into the next World Cup isn't a challenge. And so then it really is some build up to it and a 6-week camp to get ready for it and to produce your best thing, which is not the same charge as having a club team that you're working with, akin to American sports, a season in which you're trying to qualify for Champions League and all of that internal stuff, which is more of a day-to-day thing in terms of than a big long-term project. And I think most of these guys are wired for big long-term projects. If you look at Europe, Jurgen Klopp retired from the big day-to-day project, and now he's going to coach the German national team after he's done with the day-to-day exhaustion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Mauricio Pochettino is a guy that doesn't want the day-to-day thing anymore.
So just a quick side question that what some of the stuff you're saying made me think of. So if they do go to 64, for example, does that hurt soccer overall as a game because some of these Gold Cup things or whatever, these qualifiers don't really mean as much?
Well, the Gold Cup stuff is independent of that.
Yeah.
But the lack of qualifying, there's still competition for those teams qualifying. The back end of Europe will still be exciting, but some of these teams that are going to get in, the back end of Asia, the back end of extra team in Oceania, the extra teams in CONCACAF, it's not very compelling. Will it make the Ivory Coast's you know, and the teams like that, Cape Verde, you know, I don't know. It's probably going to be too watered down for a couple cups.
We've had a lot of reaction to the rant and way too much like, oh, no, you absolutely should back in all the time, which, I mean, someone seriously like
it's the baby stuff.
If you have a camera, then you should be backing into spots.
If you have a camera, it makes it easier to back out of a spot after you've parked head in.
Yeah.
It's the same argument. Park like normal people.
If
you have a big truck, I can understand.
Yeah, I still can't. But yeah, the idea that everybody should just be backing in all the time, no. Please don't. Please end that now. Ed says on the text line, drivenbywillsandcanyon.com, is it fair to wonder, dare I say, that the Titans may have too many mouths to feed on offense? There's a problem I hadn't considered.
No.
They do have, they have some skill guys. They have some skill guys.
Too many mouths to feed becomes a problem if a guy's going to bitch about it. What has Tajay Spears proven that if he doesn't get enough balls, it's an issue? Or Nick Singleton or Ioman or DK for that matter. Guys earn their touches, and you want the best guys to be the best. I would much rather the Titans heavily throw the ball to Carnell Tate, Wan'Dale Robinson, Calvin Ridley. Let the other guys fight for the scraps. Give the ball to Pollard and Spears, who I'm not quite sold on, a little bit to Helm. That's it. The rest of the guys are depth. That's ideal.
Well,
too many mouths to feed. My God, they have nobody. Who's proven on this team?
Yeah, there's a lot of. There are mouths. So like there is depth. There is some depth.
There are human beings.
there are many. There will be 53 mouths that are officially part of the Titans at the end of the camp. But it is. I mean, I hadn't thought about it, but I mean, at least there is some versatility. There is some depth. There are some options.
I mean, they didn't have too many mouths to feed when they had Julio Jones and AJ Brown, and I don't think Corey Davis overlapped with them, and Derrick Henry. I mean, that's when you start to think about how. But that's when you start to worry about how you distribute touches.
Smith.
Legitimate guys.
Yeah, like Jonnu Smith, Derrick Henry. Yeah, Remember, that was going to be like the greatest offense ever, like Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, and Derrick Henry.
Well, that's much more of a problem than this.
Yeah. And that team was good, by the way. But, they ended up being –
not because of Julio Jones.
Not much because of Julio Jones. Brett and Lebanon. Big truck driver here. Takes longer to back out of a parking spot than to back into one.
Look, I'm all right with truck drivers doing it. If you drive a normal car – pull in on one try, back out on one try, and be more efficient in parking lots. People act like parking lots are the most dangerous place in the world. For the love of man, yeah, you're driving around dainty. Look in your rearview camera. If there's a car there, stop. If there's a person there, stop. If there's not, let's go.
There we go. When we come back, we will possibly continue to talk about this and more on the Titans. Robby and Rex Show, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rex. 1-2-5 the game. You know, PK, whenever I hear the Beatles, I must say, like, that is like an all-time horrific take. For as many bad takes as you have, like Robbie's like the Beatles are trash take. I mean, that's a pretty special
all-time
take,
horrific.
It's all-time horrific, man. Robbie, hope you're having a good
Intentionally
time.
contrarian.
Yeah, that's what I wonder, you know? It's like anybody who says that, it's like, have you actually heard
But they just don't like music.
I want to hold your hand, and then you think it's all that? Like, there's no way you actually listen to them, right? And think they're trash?
I would think so.
I don't know.
not
I would
listened
hope,
extensively.
man. I would hope. Nate says, no, PK. I refuse around busy areas to pull in and wait an hour to back out because people won't let me go. Again, I'm fine. Like I said it
if you're
earlier.
talking about a stadium exit, that's one thing. But busy areas, like if you're at a Kroger,
Yeah.
you're waiting an
think
hour
you're
to
gonna
get
be
out. That's a
okay.
you problem. You're under aggressive. You're an alpha.
You might have passed out for 40 minutes of that. I mean, yeah, like that's just David from Watertown says, if someone can't back into a parking space in one try, they sure as hell will not be able to pull into a parking space forward one time. Okay. I don't know, man. I really just don't understand it. It just I guess I hear you on trucks. If it's easier for someone, if it's a one-timer, fine. But how often I have rarely seen people back into a spot and go, boom. It's usually, oh, hold on. Okay. Now, how many times have you seen people do one time? You're telling me that Simon Kuharsky is one timing it in these spots?
I think he is now.
Okay.
My kid backs into our driveway because to pull out of our driveway, our neighbors park semi-controversially.
Oh, do we have a neighbor rant?
Semi-controversially, across their front yard against the curb. And so for him to pull out, back out between negotiating mailboxes and negotiating their cars on a relatively narrow street is not ideal.
Okay.
So he needs to come out head first.
So somewhat controversially, have you brought this up to the HOA?
I have not brought up anything to the HOA.
What are their names?
Though there was a HOA memo that went out.
Why don't you name
that
names?
said, like, by the way, parking on the street is really, not what we're looking for, getting your driveways.
Why do they park on the street? They have too many cars, or they just park on the street?
They do have several cars.
We gonna name names here?
No, they're great.
You gonna tag them at Hendersons with their parking?
Like them very much.
Okay. Oh, okay. That's good. There's someone sent me a picture on the text line of Wan'Dale Robinson standing next to Carnell Tate, and he looks like he's actually half of his size. I don't know if that says more about Carnell Tate or Wan'Dale Robinson.
He's very, very small. They have to find ways to get him in space so they can use his quickness. If he's catching the ball with somebody right near him, he's, I don't know that he's getting anywhere.
So Wan'Dale Robinson, little bit of a struggle so far, or at least it's
had one struggle day,
one tough day. He's also like one of those guys. Like I feel like he's done enough in the league where okay, right? Like, I mean, it's like some of these guys, Aaron Donald, he'll come back and play. He won't play one single day of camp, and who cares, right?
Right. I'm trying to think, like, what had Adam Humphries done before he got here? Had he done anything?
Yeah, he had at least one good season with the Bucks, if not more than one.
No 1,000 yards. He had a 105 targets, 76 reception, 816 yards, 5 touchdown year.
Like 2017,
that was the year before he came, 2018, and he got here in 2019. And he maxed out in 2 years with the Titans at 37 catches and 374 yards.
But as you know,
in 3 starts.
Well, but as you know, that was not a reflection of his ability. It was a reflection of his availability.
The guy's tremendously quick and shifty. He's one of those guys at practice and at training camp looked unbelievable.
I mean, remember in that game at Kansas City that they squandered, he was the target on 2 fourth down conversions in the first half when it's like they're just moving the ball at will. Sure, we'll go for it on 4th down. And it was him. It was Tannehill to him that moved the chains. I mean, the guy at times was very useful.
It's one of those Titan-esque signings.
I mean,
They
Kyle
had
Phillips.
a need. They had a need for that spot, And they went and got a guy who was good at that spot, and he came here and he got concussed.
If Kyle Phillips was remotely durable, remotely capable of taking hits from NFL players, he could have killed people in this league. I mean, with his quickness, with his production, he could have, I mean, not massive numbers, but like an unstoppable slot guy.
Yeah.
On a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. I mean, forget about it.
I might have been conflating the two of them. I think Phillips was actually a better practice player than Humphreys.
Yes. Well, the disparity between what he did, because he embarrassed people at times
in practice,
was, and then what he did was significant. Whereas Humphreys, you actually saw it sometimes in games.
Yeah, Kyle Phillips actually hurt his shoulder immediately, which was the start of his problems. The head stuff came after that.
Right. So first day of pads, and give us the rest of the week. Then they're probably going to be on and off some
today
right?
and tomorrow.
Today and tomorrow
off
on
Wednesday. I think Thursday will probably be light because then they're having a scrimmage Friday evening at Nissan Stadium, the place everybody's dying to begin to spend their last season.
So it's the famed annual. This is the last
first annual blue and white game. I don't know. He's probably got a scoring system for it. We haven't talked to him about it.
Salah's doing this like it's a college spring football
it a blue
game.
and white scrimmage.
Okay. And choosing up sides. Are we drafting? People?
I don't know. I don't know if it's too early to ask him today. I don't know how much people care about that sort of thing.
I'd wait. But it immediately sounds more interesting than the Vrabel punt off that he did that one year. It's like, hey, way to read the room there, Mike.
He said he couldn't have done more because they practiced the night before at Centennial and stacking 2 on top of him he was a victim of the schedule. But that was the most miserable practice to invite people to watch in the history of the organization.
So we're looking at it, this Friday thing, chance for people to go see that. And then obviously next week you start getting into.
We go to Santa Clara.
Yeah. Next week you get into the joint practices. So next week gets more interesting. This week, at least we have the ramp up with the pads. We've talked a lot about the lines, and I think it may be that the best group is if we can call it, I guess we can call it the defensive line, but like the defensive front, if you're going to include, like, I think Cedric Gray is going to be a good player this year for the Titans. The defensive front is the strength of the team. However you want to divvy it up, I think, unless you're isolating the edges, that's the strength of the team. And I think the offensive line right now is the weakest part. So anything short of domination from the defensive line this week, I guess you could look at it as encouraging.
Here's a solid quote about the first day in pads. The reality is it gets a lot faster because the defensive line and the offensive line aren't really protecting. They're still protecting one another, but they're not operating at the speed they are now. It becomes much more violent. It becomes much faster. The reads for the back end is a lot cleaner. The receivers get involved in the run game and the violence in that regard. So everything picks up. And then on top of it, you're adding, I think it'll be the 5th install at that point. So the mental load along with the pads and the new stimulus and the speed. Here comes the big one. Usually the first couple of days are always a big dud of pads.
Nice.
Because you're expecting fireworks, but there's a lot on these guys' plate starting Monday.
Well, that's just exciting.
Yeah. So am I fired up?
Already bored of training camp.
Am I fired up to get out there? Hell yeah, I am.
But it's still an upgrade from last week, right? I mean, you would hope. You get from that to this. You get from this to the Friday thing. Then you get to the joint practice and preseason game. And so basically a week from Thursday or Friday, it's like, okay, let's start the season and you're a month away.
Look, I think he's doing a good job. Like at every stage, he's going to basically tell us, like, hey, this isn't really that good until it's a game that counts.
And he likes the soft Nashville media core, huh? Is that right? He's enjoying the Nashville media relative to what he experienced with the Jets.
I haven't had a chance to interject in that. Like, hey, you wait until something meaningful and bad happens, and then let's see how you feel about us / me.
Just you.
Well, we'll see.
Go ahead. Say it. No, say it. No.
You're
ahead.
indicating things. I didn't say anything.
I'm not saying anything. You say it. You like to say that you're the only guy who has tough questions. So
I got to ask the toughest questions. How about?
Okay. Are we done with the Titans? Like, I don't know. I have nothing else. Are we done? Is the show done? Is the show over?
I have time to stay for the whole show today because they've shuffled things around a little bit.
Yeah. So what time does Salah talk today?
Salah, I believe, is talking after practice today as opposed to before.
Is that going to become a thing now?
I don't know.
That would be great.
Coordinators
Wouldn't
talk
that be
tomorrow,
great?
so it wouldn't be great after Belmont starts. No, I need something before. That would be better.
Oh, okay. So you
better
get
for
some
me.
conflicts. Wow. So you won't be there to ask all the tough questions. You'll be in there. You mean tough love to your students? All right. We come back. Final segment. If anybody has any Titans questions for PK, we'll have them. Otherwise, I may vent about Tarek Skubal. Robby and Rexrode 1-5 the game. Final segment, Robby and Rex are 1-2-5 the game. Paul Kuharsky has been in today for Robby. Done a fine job. And, but I hope that you feel better about how I've supplied you with pop. Let's see. By the way, Robby has texted us Robbie, I hope you're not listening while you should be on It's a Small World after all. He says, quote, "The Beatles are terrible and you all like them because people tell you like them." Yeah, that's what it is. I wasn't even like, Beatles were of a certain age where people a little bit older than us were in their prime listening to the Beatles, but I didn't really get into them until college. Then I listened to the White Album. And I'm like, oh, this is this is way different than like the normal hits that people always play. This is like the greatest thing ever. Then I listened to Abbey Road, like, oh, that's actually even better than the White Album. Yeah, I would advise people to before making judgment to listen. But I will say, look, I haven't listened to every song Creed's ever made, but I feel confident in saying they suck.
You should.
Yeah. But the Beatles, like there's hype and there's all the stuff that goes along with them. When it comes down to it, like, no one's made more great music than the Beatles. No one's been more duplicated, copied, and
covered.
And I don't think that you could possibly put three more talented people than McCartney, Lennon, and Harrison in one band.
Look, the guy hates Ringo. Hates Ringo.
I mean, I like Ringo too, man. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to diss Ringo here. He was a hell of a drummer, and he had a few nice songs that we liked. But I'm just saying those other three on their own.
It's called the Fab Four.
Yes. Sorry, Ringo.
Very
hurt.
hurt.
I'm sorry, Ringo. Tarek Skubal, Tigers trade him to the Dodgers. A lot of people are basically calling this the demise of baseball. I do think there's going to be a lockout next year. The huge war brewing here over the salary cap. But I also think people are maybe, the thing about the Dodgers that's interesting, Paul, is like, it wasn't that long ago. They were a terrible franchise, filed for bankruptcy. Like they've, everybody looks at them and just like, well, it's LA. They have all the money. It's just a big market. It's all like, they probably should get some credit for like choices they've made and like running their business well, not just being the Dodgers and being in LA, right?
And they've got some, role players or second level players who they've discovered and found who are excellent, but it's not hard to choose Freddie Freeman or Mookie Betts or Ohtani or Skubal.
Sure. I mean, obviously they're in a position now where they're just like, let's go select. Well, just like your team. I mean,
well, listen, they don't get nearly as much grief for what they're doing still as for what the Yankees did when the Yankees were doing it. And, the Yankees during their dynastic period had a core four of homegrown guys that were way more central than free agent like Ohtani or Betts. So I argue that the Dodgers still get off get a pretty free pass
compared to the Yankees.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an interesting thought. I think there's a lot of complaining. They're trying to catch up. Texture says the boy band Beatles sucked, but the LSD Beatles were awesome.
Well, there's a phase for everybody there.
Yeah, I mean, certainly the later Beatles was great. Gover says, I discovered the Beatles because other people said I should like them, but yes, I love the Beatles now because they're incredible. Right. Like, if you actually listen to them, then.
Favorite song?
For me? God, I don't know, man. I mean, the end of the medley at the end of Abbey Road, can you put that as one song?
I don't know. I'm a big Day Tripper guy.
Okay. That's a little earlier. Chad says, I think I prefer LSD era Joe and Paul.
Never going to find that from me. Joe probably wandering around wearing a Spartan helmet. I could see it.
Yeah, there you go. To protect from like jumping off a building, like wear a helmet and feel all right. Texter says, but real talk. Oh yeah, this texter's like, I don't want to hear your don't give me your Beatles crap here. Also says, real talk with baseball. They don't get a salary cap and a floor in place. I'm done watching baseball. I'm tired of cheap-ass owners ruining the sport. I'm a salty Cardinals fan. So it is interesting, Paul. Like, I feel like the MLBPA, like there was like a misunderstanding about what the cap is going to benefit more guys than it's going to hurt, right? It's going to hurt Scott Boras, right? And it's going to hurt those guys.
Good.
Yeah. But I mean, like the MLBPA to me should be in favor of this. Should it not?
Yeah, I think it hears cap and it automatically thinks restricted money. I mean, if you create a pool that is roughly, it'll help the middle guy.
Right.
And
there's more of them.
Filthy rich.
Yeah, there's more of them.
Yeah.
I mean, and yet it seems like it's obviously just a hard line stance of hell no, we don't want to cap.
But get to work on it now. Don't wait until the deadline. It's going to cost everybody to lock out. Just be more efficient.
Yeah. We don't need to rip the Beatles. If you have no musical taste, that's fine. But we don't need to be, some very nasty comments about Robby. I do not.
Is that ripping the Beatles or is that ripping Rob?
Well, I'm just saying we don't need to get personal. We get personal. It's okay.
Well, he's not here to
Everybody,
defend
he's not here to defend
I'm
himself.
sure you've had this discussion thousands of times.
I usually avoid it because it's just like, dude, that take, I can't even. I don't want to wade in those waters. It's like I can't even. Like, what are we talking about here? Right? Like it's an all timer. So this week for you, we've had our Will Levis conversation. He said he's top 32 in the league. This became big news somehow across the NFL. Do we know who else is going to? You said Falk is talking today. Do we have a schedule? We know who else is actually going to speak this week to Titans media, since it's like the scheduled out stuff that is limited, unfortunately.
It's been better. I mean, I've had some independent conversations with some people that have been productive. Tate is going to talk, is scheduled to talk today. Falk is scheduled to talk today, and Alontae Taylor is scheduled to talk.
Obviously, high interest in Tate. It appears that he's as advertised pretty much.
He's not been going off like he did for that segment of OTAs, but he certainly looks the part. Had a nice touchdown in the back of the end zone against two guys that their social media did a good job of filming and getting out. That I think was on the first day from Cam Ward. In that red zone period, I wrote a lot about where he had 2 throwaways, but 2 touchdowns. Falk is interesting guy to watch out there. He's so tall and so big. And Taylor, I'm
touchdown Taylor, that's your guy.
Trying to get a better and better feel for how these tall corners are working outside. I'm working on a piece about that.
How does he look so far?
I think they both looked pretty good, Taylor and Flott, but it's hard to tell. I want to see him in some one-on-ones against these receivers, and maybe we'll get that as soon as today.
But so obviously you're used to, there's some drills where you get, whatever. Like there's 7-on-7. There's also the individual drills. They haven't been doing any of the individual receiver on DB because those are always.
No, I don't think that stuff's
those
allowed.
Are so geared, toward the receiver.
I don't think that stuff's allowed during that last week's
Pre-pads.
acclimatization period. You love my use of that word.
Yeah, acclimatization. Well done. Okay, because that's the thing about those. Like Taylor will get torched at times. They all will, because if when it's just you and the receiver, you're guessing, right? I mean, like to a large extent, you're guessing.
Yeah,
sometimes you guess right.
You're not steering the guy towards help or playing according to where your help is or anything of that. It's a serious test of your one-on-one skills, but it should ultimately sharpen you. Yeah, you want the receivers to look really good in those periods.
And if anyone's a good route runner, then at all, then they should
shred.
Yeah, should shred.
And balls should be precise.
Is that one of the Steve Smith rips on Ridley that he can't run routes?
I think
is that one of his?
He was fast and couldn't run routes.
Fast can't run routes.
I didn't memorize it though.
Yeah.
Your guy, Steve Smith. You know who loves me? Steve Smith is TD. I'm not a huge Steve
he was a great player.
Yeah.
Someone did. I know you're about to say it, but someone did ask in the text line to please explain again. Lock the locks.
Don't block the box. Listen, you're at an intersection, with a light, and I encourage you to, you want to get through the light right before it changes, but you cannot enter the intersection if there's not space for you to clear the intersection. If you get stuck in the middle of the intersection when the light changes, then people go in the other direction when it's their green light, can't get through it. You got to stay out until you're sure you can make it through. Otherwise, you're blocking the box.
You don't have time to explain lock the locks, but we did just mention LSD earlier, so we can tell that story another day. Thanks for listening, everybody. Next man up with Jake Lyman.
Be sure to lock the locks.
Coming up next, right? 102.5 The Game.